Arsenal's hold over the English Premier League title race is slipping away with every weekend. First, they squandered a 2-0 lead against Liverpool at Anfield on April 9. And then again yesterday, the same story happened against West Ham United. Arsenal are now just 4 points separate them and defending champions Manchester City, who have a game in hand. So have Arsenal bottled the EPL title race? That's the question we are asking in this live. Hello and welcome to WION Sports Extra. I am Nikhil Mathur. I am joined by my sports writer Digvijay Singh Deo and by my colleague Vidur Kathuria. So the inexperience is now clearly visible. Do you think that this inexperience will cost Arsenal the title?
I think it's already cost them the title. We had this conversation last week after the Liverpool game. But to see the same mistakes happen, I'm just reading what Mikel Arteta is saying. No, the pressure didn't get to us. But, good teams who have been part of a title race, they win ugly. There was a season where the Liverpool Man City title race went down to 1 point.
Yeah, 18-19, I think.
Yeah, twice. And there was one game in which Vincent Kompany scored a goal late. Against Leicester. And you thought that's going to be the shift. So, good teams know how to win titles. Arsenal, sadly, have played good football. They've set the pace. But as Vidur mentioned last week as well, this is April, while being a Real Madrid season sort of lift off. For Arsenal, it's the other way down. You do not lose games, leading a title race as close as this one, knowing there's Manchester City behind you, who can win their game in hand and come down to just one. If it's a 1 point difference with 5 or 6 games to go, all the money is on Manchester City. As simple as that.
So will we see a potentially title deciding clash on 27th of April?
It was already a title deciding clash, but now the thing is that we always look at these big matches and just assume that these big teams will pick up points elsewhere, but you also have to win the matches against West Ham, relegation threatened candidates, and which is what Arsenal have not done. At least,
stop you. Remember our conversation last week? We said forget the big matches. It's these teams who are fighting for relegation, to survive relegation.
Yeah.
These are going to be the crucial ones. Take you back to Liverpool, the Gerrard slip season.
Yeah.
That didn't cost Liverpool. It was a game against Crystal Palace where they blew a similar 3-0 lead.
Three goal lead.
That is what cost them the title.
So that is why we keep saying that the Premier League is the best in the world, because you have to, every match is tough. And managers keep saying that, of course, but this is what can cost you a title or a top 4 place or, going down. I think the inexperience, as you showed, pressure does all sorts of things to you. It's very, when things are going your way, you in October, November, you have the momentum with you, and we saw that Arsenal have still so far exceeded expectations.
But Vidur, there was no pressure on them then.
Yeah, but there's always
the pressure. At that point of time was what? On Chelsea, on Liverpool, on Tottenham, and on City.
Yeah, fair.
Where was the pressure on Arsenal? They were not the hunted.
They have exceeded expectations again. Now Mikel Arteta and Arsenal would say that how can we bottle a title race where no one expected us to be there in this position in April, but it is April, they are there, and this might be their best chance of winning the title in, say, 5 years.
It's been 20 years since they haven't won it.
Exactly.
But to be fair to Arsenal, they have a couple of injury concerns, and you have...
Every team has injury concerns at this point of the year. The squad is big enough to cover for it.
No, but the problem is, they don't have a player to replace Zinchenko. Whereas City, the players that come off the bench are of higher quality. So, in terms of that...
Can I just not just of higher quality, I think what Vidur was trying to say is that at this time of the year, you need people with the know-how on how to win the big games. It comes down to mentality. There was a word Liverpool used last year and the year before that, mentality monsters. That is what
they no longer are.
They no longer have it. But that I don't see Arsenal having, because yes, you can have the occasional bad result, but I'm saying against Liverpool, they didn't come from behind. Against Liverpool, they were 2-0 up and bossing that game. They couldn't see the game out. They were lucky to survive that game. Against West Ham, they were bossing the game. They had no business even drawing that game. In the end, they were again hanging on. West Ham could have won it. So you could turn around and say, oh, you know what, they got a point, they nicked it. No. They lost 2 points over there, they lost 2 points over there. That's 4 points. And it then comes down to game management. And this is where the inexperience is showing. Manchester City, why is it that a City game and City are dominating is not a 2-0 game? They're going for 4 or 5 goals. Get the opposition out of the game, because in this case, the opposition they were facing are fighting for their lives. And it's not a bad team. This is the same team which last year was in the top 6, top 7. They're playing the Conference League, aren't they? They were in the top 4 at one point of time last season.
They're in Europe, yes, that's right.
Jared Bowen came very close to going to Liverpool. These are not bad players.
I think when you compare, and of course, the conversation that we had last week, we thought that Manchester City, because of the number of games they have, and this time they're in the FA Cup, they of course are also in the Champions League, they bossed that game against Bayern Munich. So the strength of the squad now is showing, the depth that Manchester City have. They're just rolling through games. Haaland was taken off at half time. After scoring 2 goals.
An interesting point, because I was listening to Pep Guardiola's soundbite. So Haaland was missed, I think, 14 games for Borussia Dortmund last season, and he has just missed 4 games through injury for City. So the reporter asked him, how do you treat Haaland? He said, we have a complete medical team who monitors Haaland 24/7. And the people may criticize me that, that against that Leipzig, I took Haaland off after the half time.
Scored 6 goals.
But he said that I have specific data that after 60 minutes, if I don't sub Haaland, he will get injured. So I have the entire data. So this micromanagement is very important to keep, the players, your top players, injury free.
So have Haaland on the pitch is giving you a 3-goal cushion. Come on, you can see that off. See, this is where why City are where they are. This is about in-game management and also managing the squad. I think the problem with Liverpool was that they still have a very good team, but they could not sort of recruit in the right places. There was a pressing need for the midfield to be overall. They went and spent money at the top of the field. And while that is going to help them in the future, going forward, Diaz, Jota, Nunez, Cody Gakpo, and with Salah, and how many seasons he's got left with them, I think it's a good case to be made to sell him right now, to fund it. But that's a different topic of discussion altogether. But I think that's where City are where they are. And this is where Arsenal have always been accused of being soft. No disrespect meant to them, but even the end of the Wenger era, the soft team. That underbelly, you expose the underbelly, then you go for them and they sort of wilt. We saw that yesterday and in the game against Liverpool. That was a game that yesterday they should have just won it. And Arteta himself saying, the game is there to be killed off. A 3rd goal kills the game off. See, a 2-goal lead is very difficult to overturn. A 2-goal
lead, and I mean, they scored those 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. You have 80 minutes to go.
He said the passing, it's very important what he said. He said they stopped playing. They stopped those passes which were cutting them apart. They got complacent. The good teams don't get complacent.
It's also a very tricky lead to have after 10 minutes to goal lead. How do you go? And that's when when your in-game management and also the experience of the players, that's when it comes in. When you have to sort of control the pace of the game in an away ground. West Ham is still
But Zinchenko and Jesus coming in has sort of added to that news that this is how we win the big games. So that also makes a difference. And perhaps Arsenal going forward next season will learn from this if they can't close it out this time. Liverpool didn't close it out the first couple of years, but they finally did manage to understand what was required. And you look at the season Liverpool won the league, they were relentless, right? Till I think their first game they lost was in February, just before the COVID break.
But there was no title race in that season. They basically raced to the title. Of course.
They didn't drop. The games which they had to win, they won, and every game, even if they were winning ugly, a 1-0 win, they were winning it. Similar to last season. Last season they had their chances. There were a couple of games, results didn't go their way, and then if you see how to beat City, then you know that City will take off, and City will go on this 14-15 game run where you can't take a point off them. That's why what you said in the beginning is for me the sort of clincher. City know how to close out title races. You have to win every match. That's the only way you keep up with City. And I'm telling you, even if that match at the on 27 is a draw, and Arsenal still have a 1 point lead, I don't see City not winning it.
But it's still, City still have to play potentially a 14 matches and Arsenal 7. So would that be a factor, or?
We thought it would be, but so far they are coasting through those games. And I still believe that Manchester City, I mean, they will drop some points because they're still in the Champions League, in the FA Cup. I think they will drop at any match. I mean, I'm not sure which match they will drop points, but they will certainly drop some points. They won't win every game, which they can, but I believe they will drop points. But having said that, that game against Arsenal at home at the Etihad, I see no other result than a Manchester City victory.
Do you also see Arsenal dropping points?
Well, it's
perhaps it works for them that City go ahead. And then they're chasing again.
But the pressure will still be on Arsenal.
And they can't cope with it.
Yeah.
And that's what we've realized.
Yeah.
They can't cope with it right now.
Yeah.
But still, I think we all agree that this is a brilliant season for Arsenal. They're already punching above their weight.
Yes.
And probably...
They also have a match against Chelsea after that. And the pressure in that match will also be on Arsenal. Chelsea have absolutely nothing to play for, and they, unfortunately, I mean...
Lampard last late of the season.
yeah. That's actually a valid question.
Silly decision.
Three games, 3 defeats, Chelsea...
But I think for Arsenal, the Southampton game will also be important because they've drawn to Southampton at the bottom of the league, but Arsenal needs to win that.
Hey, this is a Southampton team which has beaten City.
Yeah.
They're not a bad team. It just hasn't gone for them. They're not a bad team. West Ham are not a team who should be in a relegation fight.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're looking at. These, Everton, have been in that relegation zone for a while. And I think they're going down. But the West Hams, the Southamptons of the world, I don't think they'll go down.
And Crystal Palace.
Palace.
Roy Hodgson coming in and...
But again, Palace were not a bad team.
Yeah.
So I'll put it this way. Every game for Manchester City and Arsenal is now a cup final. Man City have won multiple cup finals. They know how to win cup finals and they can do it. Arsenal have the current squad have not been in so many cup finals. So the pressure is on them and it's not going to go to a penalty shootout. They have to win in those 90 minutes.
Exactly. So do we have any questions?
We have questions. Send it to me. Baffled says, yes, bottle job. And Thomas says, Arsenal is not a little challenger, right? So don't get that. I think you're saying that title challengers, are not title challengers. And this is the poll.
Have Arsenal bottled the EPL title race? 56% say yes, and 44% say no.
That's very close.
That's very close.
6% here and there.
I think pretty much.
Arsenal fans.
Arsenal fans. Obviously, the non-Arsenal fans are, especially Man United fans, are happy to pounce on them because I think people are just expecting Arsenal to mess this up, which is, fair because that's how
but
fans
those who follow
work.
football also know the winning machine that City are.
Yeah.
The thing is, take City out of the equation, you win the title. City were out of the equation, they had a lead, they've blown it. They've dropped 4 points when they shouldn't have.
Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, they're never out of the equation. Over the last 6 years, we've realized
Or
that.
just Manchester City to 2011 season. Aguero.
When it comes to the Premier League, they have been the best Premier League side over the last decade.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, so time to wrap this up. What's coming up at 6:30 in the evening? WION Sports.
So another Manchester United, injury hit Manchester United, won a crucial game against Nottingham Forest to, secure their, strengthen their...
Your question. 8 players missing. That's what you wrote in your report.
8 players.
8 players missing.
And then Sabitzer got injured, so 9 in total. So, and big results in NBA, the playoffs.
Absolutely. The Lakers have begun their playoff campaign with a victory, very important win for them.
What you're saying is last week nobody wants to play the Lakers right now.
Nobody wants to play the Lakers. And
Can they go all the way?
well, it's too early to say that. There are so many contenders in the Western Conference.
No, but momentum is a crucial thing, right? So
Of
they've
course,
now won 11 out of 30.
if LeBron James and Anthony Davis can stay fit and healthy and the rest of the squad can contribute a little bit, even a little, with those 2 players in the squad, they can go all the way, without a doubt. And of course, the Phoenix Suns, who were also seen as title contenders, have lost their opening game of the playoffs.
Clippers.
And yes, the Clippers beat them. Were also back. Kawhi Leonard, who is a two-time Finals MVP, like Kevin Durant, he scored 38 points. So he's also back to his best. Let's see, maybe. But lots of interesting matchups in the NBA, not just in the Western Conference, also in the Eastern Conference,
Bucks lost.
where top seeds, Bucks, lost to the Miami Heat, who were the 8th seed.
Ooh.
So
It's a
very interesting.
You shouldn't forget golf.
Yes, never.
It was a battle for the Masters and the green jacket. It was a battle for the plate jacket. And Jordan Spieth won it last time in a playoff. This time he lost in a 3-hole playoff to Matt Fitzpatrick, who is obviously the reigning US Open champion. And an interesting story over there. In the year 2000, Matt Fitzpatrick, his younger brother Alex, who came to play in India shot last month, and their parents, they went to Harbour Town to have a holiday. And that's sort of become a home away from home. They've gone back all the time. So Fitzpatrick saying that outside of the Masters, if there's any tournament I wanted to win, it was the RBC Heritage. Elevated event on the PGA Tour. Great story.
So yeah, that and much more on our show at 6:30 p.m. IST. Also, do tune into our IPL show at around 7:10 p.m. IST.